What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Tony Cutillo Show. It's been a minute. It's been a while. A lot of big things happen. A lot of things changing. A lot of things just build into bigger platforms, which is pretty cool. So, obviously, I'm the host, Tony Cutillo. If you're checking in live, make sure you like and subscribe. You see right there on the right hand side the Tony Cutillo Show logo. As always, the Fighting for Overtime logo as well with the QR code. Man, you just scan that, give that a scan. Goes right to the Linktree account if you like real stories and real people raising awareness to youth sports. That's where you want to go. That's been my true project at hand, and it's been going fantastic. But it's been a minute, man. I have to in full transparency, it's been somewhat of a struggle at times when it comes to this show. And I will be fully transparent, and like I always am, whether you give a shit or you don't, it's all good, right? So my whole point was I stopped doing the show for about a month, maybe a couple months, only because I wanted to start to really build the Fighting for Overtime brand, which I couldn't be more happier. But then some other things happen. Okay. If you're just checking in right now, we're talking about the Phillies, another series. They didn't sweep, they should have swept. But look, it happens. It's still a winning series, 7 games up on the Mets. I want to talk about life without Zack Wheeler. I want to talk about JT Realmuto. I think a very interesting question posed about JT Realmuto. Again, I know everybody doesn't want to look ahead, but the only reason why I want to look ahead because everybody's talking about Schwarber, but I think we have to start talking about JT Realmuto as well. And it's a guy that we're not talking enough about. And it's a guy that we have to figure out, are we going to be willing to take the drop off to sign him long term? That's what you have to ask yourself. Are we going to go full in on the Rafael Marchand experiment, or are we going to go with the best defensive catcher still, in my opinion, in JT Realmuto? So that's obviously a discussion I want to talk about. I want to talk about, look, Zack Wheeler, obviously, I was on here before. I said he's the best pitcher in baseball. One, probably, in my opinion, the best pitcher we may have ever seen. And a lot of people say Steve Carlton. But the one thing is, if there's any team, in my opinion, that can minimize the loss of their ace right now, it's the Philadelphia Phillies. And here's what I want to compare this to. Think about 2008. Think about it was Cole Hamels and everybody else. Think about if that team, if that staff would have lost Cole Hamels. That right there would have been a blow that we would not been able to overcome. This is a little different. Even though I still think he was the best pitcher of baseball behind Tarek Skubal, I still think that this team has so much depth, and you're seeing it right now with these double-digit strikeouts. And again, Christopher Sanchez still in the Cy Young running. I hope you cashed that ticket and you listened to me 6 months ago when I told you to cash it, or I told you to place, I should say. Hopefully you can cash it because I really do think he's got a really good shot at winning, man. He really does. I know Scubal's having an unbelievable year as well, but you have to look at this kid. He's not even a young kid; he's in his late 20s. But you talk about this staff as a whole, and even though we saw some visions of Aaron Nola coming back a little bit, right? We saw a little bit. He still scares me. The long ball still scares me. The big inning still scares me. Luzardo has the stuff, right? Ranger is the guy who has really, really turned it on those last couple starts, and we have to hope that continues, right? We have to hope that continues. I know Taiwan Walker has pitched his ass off as well, so we just have to hope that the Ranger Suarez that we see right now continues. And if it does, honestly, if it does, Sanchez, Suarez, Nola, or Luzardo, or just say all 4 of them, I would take that up against many teams in the National and American League. So, again, life with Zack Wheeler sucks. You can never just say, "Oh, we're going to be good." You're not. You're just not. But the only good part is, and I heard a bunch of people talking about it, is the best part of that could happen is it being a point of emphasis to kind of just turn a page, so to speak, with the inconsistency of this team as a whole, and them continuing to move ahead. It's a big series coming up in New York. It's a big series. We haven't had a lot of luck in New York. We just haven't. And if you Met fans are out there, come on in. Let me know. But as long as we don't get swept, it's pretty much look, man. As we move ahead, these last 4 weeks of the season, 3 weeks of the season, it's like, I mean, and there's not that much left. And if we continue on this torrid pace of hitting, I mean, let's just talk about the bats, man. Holy shit, man. These bats have been amazing. They really have. And I think they've been so good that maybe we're even discounting the fact that we're overlooking some of it. Brandon Marsh has been absolutely hot. JT Realmuto been absolutely hot, right? My man, see you checking in. What's up, see you? He says the Mets are terrible. And listen, I told everybody when you bring a guy in like a Juan Soto who's got a terrible attitude, who's got terrible culture, it just brings the goddamn team down. That's why I wanted no part of that dude. Zero, no part of Juan Soto. And I'm not saying it's all on Juan Soto. What I'm saying is that's what happens, man. Like people like that just bring a clubhouse down. They really do. But listen, they're still in it. They're still riding ahead. So, well, they're hanging on by a thread, I should say. Right? It's going to be. Listen, it's going to be a great matchup tomorrow. See, if you're going to watch, it's going to be a really good matchup for Senga versus Sanchez. It's going to be a hell of a pitching matchup tomorrow night. So I'm excited for that. I really am. But moving forward, I think the Philadelphia Phillies, they just have to continue with the bats. And it's the bottom half of the lineup. That's another thing. It's the bottom half of the lineup, and I think that it's about time because it's not showing any time. My man, Adam, I ain't see you in a minute, brother. What is up? I ain't talked to Adam in like months. I thought you moved away or something, brother. What's going on? Adam's probably watching, probably just watched. He watched Forbidden Door earlier in AAW, and he's probably watching Heat Wave right now on NXT, which I'm going to hit later on after this show. But looking at this, it's the bottom half of the lineup, man, and they're really coming through, and that's a big deal. And I do think it's that injection of different energy. It really is. I know, and I was one of them. I was one of them that was kind of on Dombro a little bit, and I said, "All right, Harrison Bader's okay." And I wanted something a little more. He was a little meh for me, or like my boys would say, mid. 'Cause I'm not hip now. I used to be hip. I'm not hip anymore to the new generation. But I look at them and I just see a ton of energy, a ton of energy. And I see Bader is just a dude who just loves to play the game. He really does, man. Um, Adam says Phillies are going to be fine. Win it with Wheeler. Win it for Wheeler. I like that. It's like a hashtag, Adam. Win it for Wheeler, right? Win it for Wheeler. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to be fine, but I will say that if there's any team that can really deal with the loss of their ace, it is the Philadelphia Phillies because we can say what you want, whether you're a national person, whether you're just outside of Philadelphia, whether inside of Philadelphia. What I could say is all you got to do is look back and see that the real ace of the staff over the last month was Christopher Sanchez, right? Because we knew Zach was battling something, right? We knew he was battling something. Something was off with Zach. We already knew that. Something was off with Zach. Weren't sure what it was, but we were battling. Listen, if you're getting in right now, if you're on a YouTube page, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe as always. And right there on your right hand corner, well, it's the right hand corner of my screen. You'll see also the Fighting for Overtime podcast right there. Make sure you hit that QR code, bang that right to the site of the link tree so you get on all platforms or Spotify. I host it on Podbean, whether it be Apple, reviews coming in, guests coming in. I got two authors coming on this week. A lot of big things coming on for the Fighting for Overtime podcast. Big call tomorrow about a big partnership coming, man. I'm ready, man. I'm ready. But I do what everybody joins. I want to be fully transparent with this, okay? And because everybody, Japan, my man checking in. So I know everybody knows that Tony is a transparent guy. So, like I said, I went away for about a couple months. I got really down and I was a little pissed off. And, look, things happen. It is what it is. I was really looking forward to doing a Sunday night show, and it fell through. Didn't happen. Is what it is. Life moves on, right? But sometimes when those things happen, it's another moment in life, right? It's facing adversity because you start to question yourself. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how many shows you've done, how many networks you've been on, but you start to question yourself. And you start to think like, what if? What if I change this? Or what if I change that? Or what if I did that? And it really got to me a little bit. And I kind of started to kind of like scare myself a little. It was like crazy, man. It was like maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I shouldn't be doing that, right? So I looked at it and I took a break for a little bit and really started to focus on the podcast, which is going great. And I was like, look, man, I love this shit too much, man. Like I do, and I'm not going to be cocky when I say this, but I'm pretty damn good at it. So at the end of the day, I was like, you know what, I need to get back in. So what I'm trying to do, right? I got a new podcast area getting set up, which is going to be pretty cool. New table, new chairs, new bat. Like it's going to be really cool, man. But I'm thinking about, that this show I'm going to try to do twice a week. I'm thinking of the dates, probably going to be Sunday and Wednesday. Thinking about, but definitely because Sunday nights was going to be my night. Sunday nights is going to be my night on series. It's not my night anymore. It is what it is. I've moved on. It's all good. I'm not overthinking that situation, but I really think I'm going to move ahead on Sunday nights here. So speaking of that, there's a lot of things that go on Sunday nights, but right now what we're talking about Sunday nights because you heard my story. It is what it is. I'm cool. We're all good. But now we're talking Philadelphia Phillies because probably be the last Philly show, Philly centric show, because once the Eagles, man, once they heat up and how he's cooking right now, once they heat up, it's gonna be football. And Sunday night's gonna be talking about football. All the way around, whether it be betting, whether it be fantasy, whether it be NFL, whether it be Eagles, what's gonna happen. But getting back to the Phillies, okay, I want to ask a couple questions for everybody checking in. And if you're checking in, first time you're on the show, make sure you hit like, subscribe. As always, get involved in the conversation. And as always, I say this all the time. If you want to join in the conversation, I'll give you the link. Tap on the link. You go video. You could call on your phone. We'll get you on audio only. If you have an opinion, if you have whatever it is, man, get involved. It's just like the radio. Ain't no different. Couple things. Number one, I want to talk about JT Realmuto in depth a little bit here. So, as many people know, especially if you're in Philadelphia, the guy just doesn't age. Okay. JT Realmuto just doesn't age. This dude is throwing guys out at will. He is not only that, okay, not only that, but nobody commands a pitching staff like JT. He takes care of his body, and I know he had the knee issue, and I know that's worrisome, okay, because you're looking at future free agent, right? You have to look at this. This has to be talked about, and the reason why it's got to be talked about is because you saw Rafael Marchand today. No disrespect to Marchand, I think he's going to be a serviceable player, but he's nowhere near. I think everybody knows it's JT Realmuto, so we have to think about: are we willing? And this is the question: are we willing to pay dead money for JT Realmuto? And I think the reason why I'm asking that is because, yes, Adam says, I think they signed JT for at least 2 more years because they don't have anyone to step up yet. The problem, though, Adam, is we have to figure out how much money we are going to send to Kyle Schwarber, right? We need to figure that out. And we also need to figure out that JT is going to get more than a 2-year deal. All right. JT is going to get more than a 2-year deal. And I think that's what people need to understand. Right. JT is 34. Okay. So when he starts, and his birthday's in March. So when he starts the year next year, he's going to be 35. You're going to be looking at a 3 to 5 year contract. Now, I bring up the name Yadier Molina. And I bring that name up because the St. Louis Cardinals had this same scenario. St. Louis Cardinals had the same scenario with Yadier Molina because they knew Yadier Molina was not, as he got into 36, 37, 38, he was going to drop off. So if you look at Yadier Molina, okay, he was an all-star damn near every year from 2009 when he was 26 years old, all the way till he was 35. And then he was an all-star in 2021 at 38. He put together a fine ass season. So my question is, if you look at 35 with JT, you look at 35 with Yadier Molina, you start to see the breakdown of Molina, okay, at 36 and 37. And the thing is, though, we're talking about the breakdown offensively. And again, Molina was never like, okay, he had those what, 1, 2, like 6, 7 years of double-digit home runs. So I think he's very, very comparable offensively to JT. Okay, and you can make the case that Molina was better as an actual hitter when it comes to on the offense because he did hit 300 a couple years, right? And I'm winning a couple years, right? I mean, look, he hit 304 in '08, he hit 305 in 11, hit 315, 319, 30. I mean, yeah, he's definitely a better hitter than JT. However, everything started to drop off 36, 37. He had that one quick year in 38 and 39. It really dropped off. He only bats 214, and we knew the end was there, right? So the question is, what do we do? Are you willing to pay dead money? And I think it's a very interesting scenario because you're paying dead money for a bat, not paying dead money for an arm. You're not paying dead money for a guy, but you also have to look at, are the knees going to hold up? Is he going to be able to be that dominant, stay behind home plate? I think it's a very interesting situation. It would. Adam says, who would you rather keep, JT or Schwarber? I think it's Schwarber all day. It's a no-brainer, right? However, this could be a thing where if you don't sign Schwarber, then you swing some of that money over to JT, right? I mean, I do think that I could definitely see that happening. But I think looking at JT and looking at what he means, to the Philadelphia Phillies and that staff, I think it's really something we have to look into. It really is. I mean, Schwarber, that's a conversation for another day. So I'm telling you right now, me personally, we're dealing with a sport in Major League Baseball where you're always paying for past performances. Listen, I would say I don't know the statistics, okay? But let's just say 50, 60% of contracts that are signed to players past the age of say 32, 33 are always going to be guaranteed dead money the back end of that contract. So we have to look at that. And we have to think about that in JT Realmuto's case. So I do think that's a very interesting argument. I do. I think it's something that we really have to look at. Now, the other question I want to talk about tonight for the next 15, 20 minutes is, and again, I know everybody, right? We bury Topper for some of his decisions. Topper's been hitting the right decisions lately. He really has. Today, though, I think it was the wrong decision, and it almost bit him. Now, look, I know that we want to run Jose Alvarado out there. I know that we want to just keep burying Alvarado out there, letting him throw his arm off because he can't pitch in the playoffs, right? However, we still have to watch the situations that we put a guy in who's only pitched once or twice since he came back when he was out for 80 games, right? So I don't like the scenario with putting him in high leverage situations already. Like, keep that dude. Listen, at the end of the day, I think he could get back there, but you could already tell that his confidence is shook. You could already tell that he doesn't feel comfortable. He shouldn't be out there right now to hold a 2-3 run lead. If you want to throw him in with the 5-6 runs, that's fine. But right now, I think that was the wrong move. I think it was the wrong move. Yes. Well, Adam says Alvarado looked terrible, couldn't get anyone out. Adam, his confidence is shot right now. And again, he'll get it back. I'm fully confident he gets it back. I do. Fully confident. I just think that right now, I don't think that I feel comfortable with him in the game when we're talking about a 3 to 4 run lead. The most confident, I'm not confident Matt Strom either. I've said this before and I'll continue to say it again. We need a I love Tanner Banks hashtag in Philadelphia because Tanner Banks should be your guy to come out as a left-handed reliever. He's the only left-handed guy. He's the number one left-handed guy that I want out of that pen. The hell with the Schramm experiment. I don't need to see Alvarado right now unless it's 4, 5, 6 runs. But if you're talking about game situations, if you're talking about you need a setup guy for the left side, it's got to be Tanner Banks 100%. You're talking about old school baseball player. That's who Tanner Banks is. Yeah, listen, guys, remember, girls, everybody listening, remember 2008. Remember Scott Air. Scott Air was just, again, he's just a baseball player, man. And he's the guy to come in and get you 1, 2, 3 batters out, right? Tanner Banks is the same thing. Nothing phases this dude. Nothing. And he actually should have struck the one guy out anyway, right? But he comes in, he's calm, he's cool, he pitches every day, 5 days in a row. Dude don't even care what pitch his arm falls off. He doesn't care. He's an old school player. Remember, he's a guy who came up very late. He didn't come up to like 28, 29, 30, right, for Chicago. And the guy they traded to Chicago, I don't even know what the hell he's doing, right? That was a great trade by Don Bro. But that's the guy I want. That's the guy I want. I love Tanner Banks, right? So I look at obviously Tanner Banks, obviously look at Kirkering, right? Kirkering, you say whatever you want, man. Kirkering is if he can just not hang a pitch, man, he's a stud. Say, man. My man Sia checking in. See, I did not know this. Sia says Monumental got rid of a lot of the program, including the show he used to do with Meg. It's a shame because it was a great show. See, I didn't know that, man. I did not know that. Um, listen, the world of sports, it's funny, and you know how I get on these conversations, but that makes me think about something because the world of sports is a funny business because it gets bigger, more shows, more networks. I see Yahoo's coming out with 24/7 streaming, right? But it's still the same people. Right? It goes to show you, and I say this to a lot of people, that it's all about comfortability, right? It's all about comfortability. And I'm not saying what anybody else doesn't know. It's about comfortability. It's about I just like this person. May not be great. I don't care. I like them. I like her. I like him. Whatever it is, that's the way it works. You see it, right? We see it everywhere. All networks. No, not one in particular, but you see it everywhere, whether it be radio, right? But again, yes, the media industry is crazy. And it, everybody wants something, right? Everybody wants something. I think the one thing that pisses me off the most is that like, you take Sia right here, right? You see him in the chat. Make sure you follow him at Sia the Job. And fantastic, fantastic mind, terrific talent. Dude's fantastic. Blow away 95% of the industry. However, however, right? Why should he be looking anywhere? But you see a couple other people, it's just crazy, man. It's just I don't want to get crazy into it. All I know is we the industry is crazy, put it that way. Let's say that. The industry is crazy. Adam says you have to give Adam, I've been giving Walker his flowers, man. I've been giving Walker his. I love Taiwan Walker this year. I am a big Taiwan Walker advocate, man. That dude has done everything, right? I mean, I know the other night he had 38 pitch inning, gave up 3 runs. I understand it wasn't great, but it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. He still made it work, and today was fine. Like nobody's going to have a perfect game, right? It just doesn't work. But everything that whether he's getting paid $18 million a year or whatever, I don't really care. That was the market value for his contract. The thing that I care about is he's in there and he's getting people out, man. Right? He's in there and he's getting people out, and that's the big deal. He's really. I just can't believe too how big that dude is, man. Like you don't even realize how big Taiwan Walker is. You really, really don't. You don't. But yeah, Adam. He's been a listen. He's been a revelation this year. He could have easily just packed it in and didn't care, especially when they put him in a bullpen and made him a long guy. And it could have been easy. It could have been easy. I mean, look what Max Kepler. Right? Think about Max Kepler. So Max Kepler was a guy who was talking and yapping and blah, 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 blah. I need to play every day. And he changed his tune real quick when the Phillies really start winning, didn't he? Yeah, he changed the tune real quick. Matt's like, oh, I might have a chance to get a ring. They might ship me out to Tampa. So all of a sudden be a good boy, a good soldier. And it helped that he hit like 367 on that road trip. But still, at the end of the day, his tune changed real quick when he found out we were starting to win and we traded for a couple of those Minnesota boys, right? So he really started to change. So, I look at this team and I just look at the way that they're built. And I wonder, like, why did it take so long to get Trey Turner to the leadoff spot and have Kyle Schwarber batting second? Like, what took so damn long for that? Like you see how well and how natural Trey Turner fits. Right? The guy is like 3 stolen bases from the lead in the National League. He's leading at Major League Baseball in hits. That dude just continues. I mean, he just continues to get on base and be a trendsetter. And then when you have that, the crazy part is now you have a bottom of the lineup, and this is why the bottom of the lineup for the Phillies is so key. And I know, listen, everybody could say that, right? Right? The 5-year-old chewing bubble gum could probably say that, but it is true when you think about it. And if Bryson Stott can continue to hit, right? You have guys like Marsh and Bader and Stott, and then what happens? They turn this lineup over a little bit, and next thing you know, it's like, holy shit! Here comes Trey, here comes Kyle, here comes Bryce. This lineup is lethal, and the way it's situated like that, I just keep thinking like, and I don't want to go back and play hindsight 2020, but I just keep thinking like, what would the lineup have been like? Like all those times you went cold would have been different. Would it would have been different if Kyle was batting second and Trey was batting leadoff? It's just crazy. Like I just want to know why it took this long. But listen, it took this long. We got it. We love it. We continue to. Yeah, I mean, look, let's Alec Bohm hitting great too. He says, I love Bader. Listen, Bohm's going to be a key, and I'm not a Bohm guy. I'm just not. Like I know everybody wants to bring in the stats about how he's been their biggest run scored guy or runs batted in guy, and he's been a guy that they've been able to lean on. And I listen, I understand. I don't like the guy's attitude. I think he's a mental midget. I think he shrinks in big situations. Everybody forgets that he was benched last year in the playoffs. I mean, you know how bad you have to be mentally, right? Mentally, how bad you have to be, meaning that the negative vibes that you're giving off to the team, how bad they get benched in the playoffs when they really need you. Like that to me, I'm sorry, that's a big red flag. And he really hasn't changed. So yeah, the hitting is great, but his attitude has not changed. Zero has not changed at all. So my thing is, we're just hoping that he's sane. We're just hoping that he's going to be okay. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think maybe they say, well, that will put so, but look, the Phillies won a World Series with Pedro Feliz at third base, right? Anything from the bat was extra they got from him. Mainly with him was we want to shore up third base and we needed that arm, we need that defense, we needed that gold glove. But he did give you some good at bats. I remember a few specifically, right? But Alec Bohm is so much more important in that 4 hole because even though JT's hot, you're not going to be able to put JT in that 4 hole, right? Casty, listen, you're not going to be able to put him at the 4 hole. Alec Bohm needs to be your cleanup hitter in this lineup. I wish we had more. I wish we had better, right? Honestly, I do. I wish we had a bigger bat at 4. We don't. So we have to work to Alex strengths, and that's going the other way. That's staying behind the ball, and that's driving the ball to opposite fields in order to get the runs in. I mean, that's just basically what he has to do. Right. And I think the way this lineup is situated, honestly, I think the way it's situated is because the top of the lineup or the bottom of the lineup is working so well. I think that you look at it and say, by the time we get to four, sometimes we don't even need it because the bases are cleared already by Schwartz or Bryce. That's the crazy part, right? Because if you have, listen, say you go Casty, Bader, stop, right? At the back end of the lineup. Casty, Bader, stop. That's your back end, which is crazy to me, right? Honestly, it is crazy. That's a pretty decent back end, right? When they're all swinging the bell, all swinging the bat well. So if you, I just said crazy back end. That probably wasn't politically correct, but you know what I mean, right? But no, seriously, if you take those three guys and when they're all on and they're hitting well, I mean, look at that, man. You're not going to be able to pitch around Schwarber. You're not going to be able to pitch around Bryce because you're going to have guys on base. Like you're already going to have like that's the key about this lineup. That's the key about the back end of the lineup. So that's what I think that has really been different this year is that back end of the lineup is making it easier. And I know those thumpers we don't want to hear. We want to make life easy for them. I get it. However, if we can take some of the stress off their shoulders and allow them to just get up there and be who they are, be amazing how they ball out. And that's what they're doing right now. So look, man, we got 7-game lead on the Mets. We're coming up to a big series. We got a big matchup tonight. Oh, I say no, it's not tonight yet, so it's not Monday yet, but we got a big matchup. Senga versus Sanchez. Phillies have not done well in Met Stadium. We already know that. And well, I was going to say Shea, but now it's City Field, right? Um, but all we need to do is even if we lose the series, I hate to say that because I want to lose the series, but we just can't get swept, right? Let's win this first one. Listen, for all intents and purposes, we have our ace on the mound right now, which is Christopher Sanchez, going to go out there and ball. Okay. And Senga's been great. I think he's got like a 2.56 ERA. It's been really good for the Mets. But right now, man, the Mets are killing themselves. They are. Mentally, they're frustrated. And I told you, and I continue to say it, and I'll keep saying it. Bad culture. When you bring bad culture and bad attitude to your team, the vibes are infectious. Juan Soto is not a good guy. Might be a great person. He's not a good teammate. He's not, right? He is all about himself. And all that negative energy and all that half-ass play and all the stuff that he does it's buried the Mets. It has. I mean, this was the hottest team in baseball at the end of the year last year, right? It is the hottest team in nobody they beat us. We were not supposed to lose in that series. They were the hot team. All we talked about was the Mets. We talked about how fantastic of a managerial job they were doing out there. They were getting the best out of all these players. And what do? They go out and they bring in Juan. They back the Brinks truck up to a guy who all he cares is about Juan. That's it. Juan cares about Juan. He should just wear a shirt that says, I love Juan. That's all he cares about. And all he's doing is bringing the damn team down. If I was a New York Mets fan, I'd be pissed because we're not talking about the year that, even though I don't like him, but the year that Pete Alonso's having out there. We don't talk about Francisco Lindor. We talk about Juan Soto not living up to his contract. Juan Soto being a negative presence on the bench, on the field. This guy just breathes poison into a clubhouse. He just does, man. He just does. And this is why I say listen, it goes from coaching, man. I'm a big body language guy. I'm a big attitude guy. I think it's all yeah, listen, Adam knows me, right? I'll throw his comment up here because Adam knows me. I put up there right there. Soto reminds me of Machado, and Adam knows I am not a Manny Machado guy because I think Manny is another I love Manny kind of guy. And when you're loving yourself so much, you forget to love everybody else. And that just sends a bad message, man. Just sends a bad message. So, uh, listen, I love Sia says Soto is overrated. Right here he says Sia is overrated. Or Soto's overrated. Sia's not overrated. Soto's overrated. Um, I listen. I don't know if I agree. I think Sia, honestly, I think when Soto's going right, I think he's one of the best players of baseball. That swing is pretty sweet. And I don't like the guy, but his bat is pretty sweet. But if you take the total package and you put everything around, yeah, I then I would say yeah. But um, unfortunately, he's putting some bad juju on that team. I mean, they go out there and they bring in Ryan Helsley and they think that they're gonna boost up the bullpen. The guy's been terrible. Right? Like from the car, he's been terrible. Like, what's the odds? Right? It's got to be like, it's got to be that bad vibe. Like that's what happens when you get away from specific situations and you just get reborn. Right? We've seen it all the time. I'm not trying to be biased here, but you watch it with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles will bring guys in from bad situations and they'll rebuild them and they'll bump up the call. Look at Makai Becton. Very simple. That's the most recent and easiest comparison. Makai Becton's confidence was shot. Makai Becton was in a terrible situation out there with the New York Jets. And why? Why was he in a terrible situation? It's a terrible organization. And what happens? He comes over to the Philadelphia Eagles, to the Hall of Fame, the best ever coach ever for the offensive line, Jeff Stoutland. Okay. And what does he do? He gets the guy paid. And the guy, he's happy. He's loving football again. He's playing all pro level. I mean, come on, man. This is what happens when you get into good culture. But when you get into bad culture, it just brings you down. Adam says, before I came out, I saw the Eagles got Sam Howell and now Carson Wentz. Yeah, Carson Wentz going to the Vikings. We get Sam Howell. Howard made like 3 trades today, dude. So crazy. Like he made 3 trades today. He's wheeling and dealing offensive line depth, bringing in third quarterbacks. I mean, this. I'm sorry, like I can't wait. I know Thursday, me and Tom on A2D, we're gonna do a Phillies preview. For the season, which I'm really looking forward to. And this team is so damn deep. It really is. It's crazy. So, we're gonna have a lot of football talk coming up. I can promise you that. A lot of football talk coming up. But looking at back at the Philadelphia Phillies, what do you want to see? Do listen? I think we all would say we want to see a sweep, right? Against the Mets. I think we all want to see that. Listen, if we sweep the Mets, it's over. It's 100% over, right? I think that. I like that Tom guy. He's awesome. And listen, Tom's a man. Tom does know his stuff. You're right, Adam. Tom does, me and Tom go back a long time, man. Long time. We battled against each other. We were in the same space. He wasn't a big fan of or I say he was a fan of mine, but I wasn't a fan of him. But as we grow older and wiser and more mature, we learn that look, may, we may not always be perfect, but if you have synergy with somebody and you guys can get on the right page and say we could take things next level, I think that's where we're going to go. So I do feel like the Philly Sports Unfiltered show with me and Tom. And again, look, it's Thursday nights and it'll be consistently on Thursday nights once football starts. Right now we're kind of going week to week, summer, getting things together, but it'll be every Thursday night. Me and Tom talking A2D, having a good time. And when you have 2 knowledgeable guys, 2 passionate guys Two guys that aren't afraid. And I want to talk about something too before we get out of here. Talk about afraid because Adam, I know you're a Broads guy. I'm a Broads guy. I've always been a Broads guy, and I just want to I want to applaud the network for allowing Broads to be Broads. I think we're in a different time right now, and I love it. I do. I love it. For people who aren't familiar and who don't, listen to radio within the Philadelphia industry, Hunter Brody is really taking that next step. And listen, I've always been a Hunter guy. I've had Hunter. Hunter has come on my serious Sunday night shows and has just been he was gold. I followed him back to his 97.3 days at ESPN. And when he was intern, he's a younger guy, passionate. A lot of people said he was too theatrical. A lot of people say he was too loud. Nah, man, that dude is just he's him, right? He's him. He has the energy, he has the passion. And the best thing I love about Broads, and I was scared of is, is WIP going to try to change him? Because that's what you hate, right? You watch these guys that are really good on their YouTube channels and their TikTok pages, and they're very passionate and they're like no pun intended, but unfiltered. And I was afraid that once he got to WIP, they were going to try to calm him down. They were going to try to bring him down a notch. They were going to try to be like, listen, he's got to bring it back, right? And I am so glad that they decided to let him just ball out because he is like no other. He's a guy in this area. He's got a radio that the thing is, you have guys that get passionate and loud and want to argue and they don't know shit. But then you have guys that get loud and passionate, like myself, like Broads, who actually know the game and that can battle you back and forth in a battle of words that understand the sports world. And that's what Broads does. And that's why I always would be a Broads fan. But that that comical, when he's battling that dude against Jalen Hurts, I love it. And the best thing about it, like I said, is they allow him to be him. So I will always be a Hunter Brody guy. Always will be, seriously, because he's not a fraud. I don't like frauds. You guys know that. I don't like frauds. So I will give him that. And listen, I'll give kudos where kudos is due. Um, for you guys that I know, Adam, you're a radio guy, but I'll give kudos to Bill Calrulo. I will for his his passion of, what? I'm gonna go at all the other radio stations. Like it's almost like the forbidden door, right? To go at and now he said, you know what? I'm doing it. Like I'm gonna continue to push an unbiased a show that has to do all about factual opinions and not clickbait. And I love it. I love it because I think it's going to work because people are striving for it. And I love that that station on the Fanatic is allowing him to do that. And they're actually running campaigns on it and ad sponsors. Like go for it, man. Like who benefits from all that? The audience. We benefit from it. Right? We all benefit from it. Because then we actually get back to having good radio. Right? And again, it is what it is. Like if you I like good radio, but it's hard to find. Good radio is hard to find. And let's be honest. I mean, I'm on YouTube right now, and that's what we're listening, but not everybody wants to hop on YouTube. Right? No matter what, there's always going to be a love affair for radio, whether it's national radio or local radio. It always will be, right? There always will be. So if we can hop in a car, even if it's for 15 minutes, like I listen to Rob Ellis tonight because I love Rob. Robbie, he's the guy for me. Because he's a guy no bullshit, right? No bullshit. And he's a guy who's straight down the middle when it comes to statistical takes, and he's got a great opinion and he's very strong-willed, right? And I love it. And no clickbait, no bullshit, right? So it's good if I can pop on a radio and listen to something like that. So it just makes for good radio. So I love that they're allowing Broads to be Broads, and I love that Colorado is really allowing him, that state's allowing him to go into the other states. I think it's a made for good radio. Now, Adam says, I picked Hurt. Wow. I picked Hurts as my number one pick in my fantasy draft. Interesting. Listen, I love Jalen Hurts. I do. You guys know that. I love Jalen Hurts. I'm a big Jalen supporter. I don't think he's going to be the top guy in fantasy this year, though, Adam. I just don't. I think we're going to see a lot of different different plays and different calls, and um I think it's going to be interesting this year. I think it's going to be less of Jalen Hurts running the ball, less tush push this year. I do think that, right? I do. I think not because of all the. I think that's why they brought it. Like, I don't know if anybody realizes how powerful and how much of a bruiser. Um. Oh my God, why am I drawing? AJ Dillon is like. I don't. I'm just drawing a blank, right? I was trying to say Corey Dillon, right? But I don't think that everybody realizes how much of a bruiser AJ Dillon is. And I'm saying that because I really do think, at age 27, he's got a good 2 years left, right? He signed a 1 year deal, obviously. But, the way they're going to utilize him, I think he's going to get those tough yards. And again, I don't think you're going to see Saquon get 300 plus touches this year. I just think that it's going to be like, okay, we have to settle it. How do I say? It's almost like with the Phillies. You watch Rob Thompson, and he talks about managing the staff and the innings. Well, I think you have to remember this team won a Super Bowl, which means they played late into the year. And, with that, there was a lot of extracurriculars that happened. The year never really shut off. And I don't care how great shape you're in. I don't care how much take care of your body. There's still going to be a fatigue factor. And I think that's what we would see in Saquon this year a little bit. And I think that that's why they bring a guy. Yes, AJ Dillon out of the backfield, Japan. Very effective when he played in Green Bay. And if you're going to utilize him the right way here in Philadelphia, I think people are just sleeping on how good, really, how good AJ Dillon could be. So I just think that's what takes away from Jalen Hurts when it comes from the fantasy aspect of Jalen Hurts. Listen, I'm gonna be honest, man. I everybody knows this. Japan knows this. A lot of people know this. Um, my fantasy football picks are always a little different than a lot of people. I had my one draft that I had last week. My kids couldn't believe it. That I took Drake London, number one overall. Yes, I drafted Drake London, number one overall. And a lot of people that know me understand I have my reasons on why I pick certain guys at certain perspectives, at certain tiers when it's not even on people's radar. How many people took Saquon number one overall last year? I was telling everybody Saquon to take number one, right? Yes, yes, Japan, Drake London, number one overall. Hear me out. Hear me out. You have to look at the way I looked at this, Japan, is I looked at his production and his usage. And I looked at the other players. And again, I didn't want to take a running back. So let me preface this by saying that I was not taking a running back at number one overall. It wasn't even in my thoughts. Wasn't even in my thoughts. This is it. I don't think you win taking a running back in the first round this year. I just don't. You have to get a top 7 or 8 receiver, because once you get that guy, if you come back around, okay, and you get another guy, listen, receivers are done. There's a big dead zone in receivers after like 18 or 20. Big dead zone. So you want to get your guy. So I knew I wasn't taking receivers. So I are running back. So I said, I want to take the best receiver. Now, I know everybody's going to tell me I'm crazy. I didn't take Jamar Chase. Listen, I love Jamar Chase. Okay. However, I can't tell you how much I hate that a lot of those numbers that he gets come from 200-yard games and 2 or 3 touchdown games. I cannot sit here and bank on 200-yard passing games and 2 or 3 touchdown games. So if you take that out of the mix, he's just as good as those other top 5. So I looked at who do I trust more? And I always say this, Japan, and you've listened to me for years. I always say this. Who do I trust more? And it's always about who gives me the least amount of questions. It's always going to be that. Who gives me the least amount of questions? So when I look at again the wide receiver position, I look at number one, the consistent week to week production that doesn't have to do with touchdowns. Then I look at who's throwing in the ball and what does the team look like. Now, I can honestly tell you that when I looked at this, a lot of the projections, okay, that had Drake London at 7, 8, or 9. I think that's right. Justin Jefferson. I love Justin Jefferson. I don't know what that situation looks like out there in Minnesota this year. I just don't. I know he's special. I know he's great, but I just again, I had to look at is there a question mark? And to me, there was. Then CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. However, I still think again, culture, and I said this before, George Pickens to me screws that team up a little bit. Right now, there's already bad juju on that team with the Michael Parsons situation. There's already bad vibes on that team. They're already sinking over there. So I'm looking at, you know what? I want no part. If that team just decides to blow up, again, I you could say he's gold, he's a gem. I don't care. I did not want to deal with that situation. And then who's the next guy? Some say it could be Amon Ra, some say it could be Nico, right? I love Nico Collins. I do. I love Nico. I honestly think Nico, I was the number 2 receiver in fantasy football if he could stay healthy. But then there you go. It's the if. What is that Texans receiving core going to look like? What is that offense going to look like? Amon Ra, is he going to be able again? Is he going to be able again to go off? However, last year drop off 150 receptions, only 1263 on the yardage. Okay, almost 300 yards less than what he had last year with one less game the year before. So that scared me, right? And then people go, okay, what about Puka? I love Puka Nakua. Injuries, Devontae Adams. Okay, again, that's where I look at. See, this is the way I'm drafting number 1 overall, and this is the way I look at it, and this is how I break it down. And then you go, Malik Neighbors? No, ain't touching that situation. I don't know who's throwing the ball. I don't know what it's going to be like out there. I have no idea. I'm out on Malik Neighbors. And then you go to Brian Thomas Jr., who I think Brian Thomas Jr. had a great year. However, do people realize, number one, I don't like Trevor Lawrence. I never did like Trevor Lawrence. And do you understand that 6 games with Mac Jones last year equaled 68% of that production that you're seeing to make him a top 5 fantasy receiver? So no, I go the next guy is Drake London. And I look at the situation that Drake London has. I go, okay, let's look at Drake London for a minute. Look at the situation. By the way, last year, 158 targets last year, 17 games. Excel. Soon as they go to Michael Penix Jr., right? Now he gets year 2 with Michael Penix Jr. Year 2 with everybody saying the number 1 running back in football, Bijan Robinson. Okay, 158 targets, 100 catches, 1,300 yards. This is the way I love about Drake London. Give me the double-digit target games. And I look at 16, 13, 8, 13, 18 coming down the stretch. I'm looking at how much production he had on the field. And that's just going to go up even more this year. Okay? It's going to go up more this year. There was games in there where he left early because he got hurt, right? But you really have to look at the consistency, right? Away he makes the big body contested catches, man, right? All last year was career highs, right? All was career highs. And that's what I really, really loved. So I'm excited, right? I'm really excited about Drake London. So that's why I took Drake London number one overall. That's why. Adam says, I picked Mike Evans because of his touches and yards. Not really. Exactly. Listen, I love Mike Evans is steady, right? Khalil Shakir is who I trust most. Yo, you know how we feel about Khalil Shakir, man. You know that, Japan. I'm all CD because he's a cowboy. I'm all CD just because, again, I just think there's some bad juju out there. There really is. But listen, man, I am going to get out of here, man. Fantastic show. Again, I'm gonna try to do this every Sunday night. That's where you're gonna find us on the show every Sunday night. That's what I would have been doing. I may go turn this into a 2-hour show. We'll see. When I you know I do guests and stuff, but like I said, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, full transparency. Check out the Fighting for Overtime podcast right there on the right hand side. Scan that QR code with your phone right now. Get to that Linktree page. Get over there. Follow the podcast. It's growing. It's getting big. Listen, I can't tell you, and I love doing it. I love doing it. A lot of big guests coming up, big stories, man, and I think people need to know. I do. I think people need to know. So, depending on how busy I get with that, and Philly Sports on Filter with Tom on A2D Radio, is going to be what I do here on the Tony Cotillo Show. So, not to say, but I only have so much time. It is what it is. I have clients that I work for. I have a job that I do too. So I'm all over the place, man. But I'm having fun, living life, and having a good time. Again, hopefully next Sunday, you'll see a different background. We'll be doing this a little different. I'm changing the podcast studio up a little bit, so can't wait for that. It's going to be fun. Get a little more relaxing vibe going on. But as always, man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate all the support as always. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow the show. Also, scan that QR code. Get to that fighting for overtime. Everybody have a fantastic evening. I'll catch you back here.